Hello, boys and girls. It's great to see ya at MOEC Clubhouse Kids. I'd like to sing a song today with me good friend Tom Ato. Come on up, Tom.
Hi, kids.
How you doing today, Tom?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. Hey, are you ready to sing the song Seek Ye First?
I love that song.
It's a pretty great song. It's a good song because it's taken from the words of Jesus. And in these words, he tells us to make big what God makes big. God's kingdom and God's way. Ready to sing the song, Tom?
Oh, yes, I am, Chip.
Alright, well, let's start off with the Seek Ye First part of the song first, okay? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Okay, now we gotta do the hallelujah parts, okay?
Okay.
It goes like this. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. All right, you ready to put them together?
Yes.
Okay, you do the Seek Ye First part, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Great singing today, Tom.
Thank you.
Great job, kids. See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Hey kids, glad to have you back in Clubhouse Kids this week. Good job on singing that song. As you remember last week, we talked about the end of Samson's life. And Samson was coming to a pretty rough patch in his life. We saw at the end of his life that Samson became blind and he was a prisoner. And Samson made all these decisions that led up to that point in his life. And we learned that it is really important what decisions you make, even as a child growing up. And this week is going to be Judges chapter 17 and chapter 18. And in chapter 17, we're introduced to a man named Micah. And it says in the chapter that his mom had 11 shekels of silver. And she was so mad. She was yelling at everybody. And she yelled at Micah. And Micah felt really bad about it. So the following day, he finds his mother and he says, "Hey, you know that silver you're talking about, that you're getting really mad about, the silver that was stolen? Well, it actually was me. I'm the one who stole your silver. I felt really bad about it, so I had to tell you." And his mom says, Blessed be thou, my son, unto the Lord." And this is really confusing because his mom was so mad, and her response is, "Blessed be thou to the Lord." And what happens next, it's really interesting, is that as we know that the children of Israel, they were stuck in idolatry and they couldn't get out of this cycle of worshiping idols and worshiping other things other than God. And what we see is that his mom was going to use the money to buy idols. And she told him that she was going to dedicate the money to the Lord, but her actions said otherwise. So she was going to use the money for idols instead of dedicating it unto the Lord. And what we can learn from this is that we can say a lot of things, but if our actions don't match up, then it doesn't really mean anything. One day, Micah came across this Levite priest, and he was just wondering what he was doing there. And Micah said to the priest, he said, I'll pay you some money, I'll pay you some silver, and you should be a priest for our family, our spiritual leader. And the priest was like, "That's pretty cool, I'll do that. I'll be your guys' spiritual leader." And Micah, it says in chapter 17 that since Micah now has a Levite priest, he said, "Surely the Lord will do good to me." And Micah thought this was some kind of good luck charm, and Micah wasn't really having the best intentions. Micah still wanted to worship the graven images, and he wanted to worship these idols. And he thought just because he had a Levite priest that God was going to bless him for that. And we can see that God won't bless you if you're doing things that are, contradicting to his word and to who God is. And God clearly says in his word that we shouldn't worship no other gods before him. And that's what Micah was doing. And we see in chapter 18, the tribe of Dan. And there's some men of Dan, and they sent 5 men to go out and look at the land where Micah's at in Ephraim. And they see that the land is really good. And it says in that chapter that, there was no leader, there was no king, and that everyone was doing right as in their own eyes. So all these people that were without a leader, they were just doing whatever they wanted, whatever they pleased, whatever their flesh wanted. But really, God was still their God, and God's on the throne. So the children of Israel were just going against their own God, the one who loved them and cared for them. And it says that these men of Dan, they went back to their land of Zorah, and they told them that, we're going to go out there and we're going to take their land. So they took 600 men with them with a lot of weapons. They were ready to take this land over. And what happens is, as those men of Dan and those 600 men come to where Micah lives, it says that the 5 men go to Micah's house. They steal the graven images. They steal the idols that Micah had. And Micah is really mad about this because, and it says in the Bible that, he got some men to stop those 5 men. And Micah took those back. But Micah realized that the 600 men that were with them, he just wasn't strong enough to fight them. So the 5 men go back and take the graven images. And it says at the end of the chapter that they worship them every day. And this is just a really sad story because everyone was so caught up in worshiping these idols and these graven images, and they weren't focused on the Lord. And one of the verses that goes with this is Judges 17:4. Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to a founder who made therefore a graven image and a molten image, and they were in the house of Micah. So we can just see that they were so consumed with idols and worshiping things that were not God. In our own life, an idol could be a friend, a toy, a certain activity that we do. Anything that we put before the Lord is an idol. And I just want to challenge you to always put the Lord first. Hey kids, thanks for listening so well, and thanks for being on our Clubhouse Kids YouTube page. We're looking forward to seeing you next week.